Hey guys, so we're back after a grueling, awful month of March. I personally have been sick for the first half, and then the second half was just like the stressful process of college decisions. And also, my favorite team, Duke, lost in March Madness. I was rooting for you, Jared McCain. And yeah, but we do have good news for you. You may recognize them from our first episode. We have Raph,
Hi.
Isaac,
Hi.
and a special guest, Ethan.
Hi.
And you guys are all very incredibly intelligent and charismatic people. And Raph, like you're considering Princeton, Isaac, UCLA, and Ethan with Stanford. Like this room is filled with like the world's next leaders, basically. And I just wanted to create this episode to capture like the raw emotions of high school seniors that have gone into amazing schools and hear from experiences, because I think that often you're either a student who wants to get into a school or you're already a student there at the college, and never the experience of like the student in the middle time frame of the college application process, which I think is still valuable and valid. So to start us off, what was your college application process like? Like, did you start really early, like in junior year, or did you wait till the last day?
I can start. I think that I started kind of relatively late. I'm not like really on top of things, so I wasn't thinking about it during junior year. And I told myself I would do something during the summer, and summer came and summer went, and I started my first like brainstorming in like August 1st or something like that.
Yeah, and you applied for early, right?
Yes.
At Stanford.
I applied early action Stanford, and that was where I was looking like I was looking through those essays first, and I think that helped with like, I'm not sure, there's a lot of essays for Stanford, and it was kind of tough to figure out what I'm gonna piece in with each of them.
Yeah, and what about you two? And I know for UCLA, like there's no early with it. It's just, you write 4 essays and check some boxes and hope you get into the ones you checked.
Yeah, so I thought, I should start like the day that UC applications open. I'll start on August 1st. I didn't start on August 1st. I think I started writing, like, I wrote like the first draft of one PIQ in like October. And then I started the rest of them the week before Thanksgiving break. I had to rush something so I could show Miss Javier so she could look at it. So I wasn't even done like before Thanksgiving break started with first drafts. And then she gave me some advice. And then like in Thanksgiving break, I kind of didn't do them that much for the first half.
It's okay. I did like all my PIQs on like the last Saturday of break.
Yeah, I did too. I stayed up until the sun rose, I think, doing them.
Okay, I didn't do it all nighter. I just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for that. And then I didn't apply to any privates. I didn't even start until winter break writing anything or even like filling out the application. I just asked for letters of rec. And then I spent like a week and a half doing those. And then, yeah, that was it for me. I spent very little time comparatively.
All right, so I'm very much like you folks. Actually, I tried to start, very late in junior year, but it was almost in like a very like idealistic, like I can write all my essays right now. None of those essays made it into any of my final drafts. And if you really knew me, you know that my dream school was Yale, and so I had applied early to Yale. And I want to say I started like about a month before.
Yeah.
And I had written like so many different like drafts, right? Like that was a very rigorous like process, right? And then I scrapped it all like 100 hours before.
Did you just realize like it didn't work with you, or
Yeah.
did you just not like it?
Like I had revised to the point where the authenticity of the essay was killed. Like it was so filtered through like a bunch of other readers and my own like sort of strictness on what do I want to include in my essay, that I decided, okay, I'm going to submit a first draft about writing a first draft for my like it was very meta, and my UCs I had started the week before, I want to say, and the last PIQ I finished the day of. And for my private school applications, it was a lot better. I want to say I gave myself about a week, maybe a week and a half for Princeton, Columbia, Harvard, and then Cornell was one day. I had woken up actually the day that Stanford and Penn were due, thinking, okay, I'm going to apply to Stanford and Penn. And then I thought, do I want to write, these essays today? I don't think so. I'm not going to apply. So it was very spontaneous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you know, I did get into Harvard, and if you guys think your procrastination is bad, mine's is really bad. And I did write my Common App junior year in January, but I didn't edit them until the day Harvard was due. And I wrote all of my Harvard supplementals on the Common App, not even on a Google Doc, and I submitted it first draft, and I copy and pasted my PIQ into one of them, and I just changed the last 3 sentences to talk about Harvard. And the only one I really had to do was the roommate essay. And wait, no, what am I saying? Harvard had like 5 essays. They were doing too much, honestly. Like, you were doing too much. And I remember that after I submitted it, I realized that my entire application was bolded. And I was like, okay, so I'm definitely not getting into Harvard. And I was writing like my Princeton supplementals, and then I realized I never added my recommenders, and it was the day of like the due date. So I was like, okay, so let me just take off Princeton off my things. So I'm definitely not going there. And yeah, that was basically my private school situation. I just wrote them all in one go and submitted them.
Wow.
Sounds cool.
I don't recommend it. I really
Yeah.
don't.
We're all
I think it's
very
a work.
similar, huh? Yeah, I think this says something. Like, I feel like there's a correlation between how little time you give yourself and, like, how your results turn out.
Yeah. And
Procrastinate.
I also do think that I'm the type of person where, like, if I let something like sit and marinate and I come back to it, I hate it. And I feel like when I work under pressure, I feel like more proud about what I created.
Yeah.
I just justified procrastination, which is like really bad, but so we all basically procrastinated, but I would say don't do
You
what
won.
I did. Yeah, thank you.
You won the
I
procrastination contest.
I think I take the cake for that. But who and like how did you guys choose your letters of recs, or like who were you gonna plan to ask?
So I guess I can start. I had actually asked 3 people, and for my initial Yale round, I had asked Mr. Steele and Mrs. Solis. And the reason why my recommenders changed was just because there were some Yale specific things, which so for the more general app, I ended up having Mr. Steele and Miss Carl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying like, okay, go ask these exact people. If anything, that's probably not the strategy you want to do. Just copy what other people are doing because you think, oh, that person's going to be a good writer.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pick someone who is going to fight for you, right? Like someone who like absolutely like adores you. Like if you know that they would be willing to put extra effort into making their letter of recommendation special for you, I'd say, like go ask them. Like
Yeah, and also I feel like chances are they're gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Unless the teacher hates you.
Yeah. But don't ask those teachers, obviously.
obviously don't. Yeah, what about you guys?
No, I asked Mr. Steele because like I feel like he's one of the teachers that knows me the best because I've been in math leads for 3 years and I've had him as a teacher multiple times. And then I asked Miss Kozuma because I've had her for 3 years.
Mhm.
And I feel like she also knows me fairly well. Like I'm good at both of their subjects. And also I wanted to have like a math, like a It's like a STEM and a social science teacher. Obviously, you want to have like one from both of those generally.
I also asked Mr. Steele for a letter of recommendation. I think that's a common thread, but I think he's one of the teachers who's had like the most impact on me at Franklin, because of because of his passion and all the things that he's done. And I think he knows me the best out of like the teachers at Franklin. I also asked Miss Ballard for a letter of recommendation because I think I enjoyed her class, and I think she like, I'm not really a writing kind of person.
Yeah.
But like her class helped me a lot with like getting more comfortable with writing, and I feel like she's also had an impact on me. And people like recommend having like a humanities teacher, so you won't just be all like STEM or all humanities.
Yeah. For me, I wanted to choose like a STEM and humanities person, but when the time came down to it, I realized like, you know what, on the app like it really doesn't say it, and like I'm also like 100% not a STEM person, and I'm currently in like AP Calculus AB, which there's nothing wrong with that, but there's definitely higher level math courses like offered. So I just chose like all humanities teachers because I feel like I knew that they were going to capture me best, even if like it wasn't the traditional one STEM and one humanities. So yeah, that's just my experience, and obviously like I knew that I really wanted to ask Kilby, since Kilby had like the biggest impact on like my life, and he's like kind of the reason like why or like who I am like now. So I really do owe a lot to him. And yeah, that's basically like my experience. But I really like that you guys all asked like Mr. Steele. I've never really had like the popular teachers like Mr. Steele, but I've heard so many great things about him, and I read his book and I really do enjoy it.
It is a good book, and it's about
It is.
college. So buy Sweet Appeal. You still can. The Amazon page is open. You can just look it up. But yeah.
Yeah, and I really do wish like I had a class with him, but unfortunately I never did. But he seems like such a great guy, and I feel like every year so many people ask him for letters of recs, which really shows like how great he is on like influencing students. So what was your reaction to getting in? And like who did you tell first? Like did you cry? Did you scream? Did you jump? Did you go be like, "Mom, I got in"?
I guess I'll start. I was using the bathroom because the website was down, and I didn't know when it was gonna go back up, so I just went to the bathroom, and then the decision came in while I was there. And Raph told me, I was talking to him, and he told me, so he was the first person that I told that I got in, just because I was talking to him at the time. And then I yelled, and I was like happy. And
So
yeah.
you checked while you were in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's very unique.
So I was at home on my dining table, right? And like one of my cousins was there, and like, you know, my sister and my dad, my mom was at work, and I had actually like just driven home, right? Because
Yeah.
at 5:45 or at 3:45, I was like, okay, where should I read my Ivy decisions? There aren't really any open classrooms, like Mr. Steele, like he wasn't there that day, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go drive home real quick. And so I get home, pull up in the driveway at like 3:58. My cousin, you know, takes out her phone, and we're recording like all my Ivy decisions, right? So I open Cornell waitlist, Columbia waitlist. I'm like, okay, I know where this is going. You know, I'm happy going to UCLA, right? Like that's a great school. Like that was, you know, one of my top picks. And so I go to open the Princeton applicant portal.
Third?
Then yeah, third. Because
mine was also the third too.
Yeah, my order was your order like Harvard, Yale last.
Mine's was Brown, Cornell, Harvard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I opened that, right? and I see the big tiger looking at me, and I'm like, awesome, great. Like I yell out, like I'm super happy. And then like 5 minutes later, like I'm back to like baseline, just like happiness. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really exciting. I remember watching like the reaction videos on YouTube, and typically the ones that go viral are like the ones with the most like screams, shouts, tears, and especially for a school like Harvard, like that's a very, very big deal. And I think like for me, I guess like understanding that, you know, I'm not even top 10, and I was just like, all right, so here goes nothing. And I opened Brown and Cornell first, both for rejections, and I was like, next is Harvard, but it's Harvard, like no one expects to get in, and if you do expect to get into Harvard, you must be like Rishabh Jain. So yeah. And I obviously wasn't expecting anything, and when I clicked onto it that day, my computer was really slow. And the way I know I get into schools is by confetti. If there's like no confetti, then like that, like it's hard to tell like whether or not, like you'd have to read it, right? And I already got 2 rejections, like flat out rejections, not even a wait list. And I didn't really expect much, so obviously like, I was kind of speed running through everything despite like my computer being super slow. And I didn't know this, but when you get into Harvard, it plays like a video, and obviously the confetti didn't load, and my video was like a black screen because it didn't load. And so I was just like, okay, rejection. And then I was like, wait, I think it says congratulations. And I just like froze, and I just reread it, and like people asked me, did you record your reaction? I was like, first of all, no, because it would have just been like flat out rejections. And then second of all, like thank goodness I didn't, because I had no reaction, because I was just like confused because I didn't get like confetti or like a video or anything because it didn't load. And I saw congratulations, and then immediately like my voice is like shaky, and I'm like, Mom, I think I just got into Harvard. And the crazy thing is like I started going to like church lately, and I started, I guess, like believing in like faith. And my boyfriend is like kind of like very Christian. He kind of like influenced me in that sense to like start, you know, like believing in faith. And yeah, like I just started believing in faith. And I remember telling him like, oh my gosh, like look what the universe just like gave, I guess, because I was like, this is so unique, I guess. Like I thought that was very, very cool. And I think to this day, like I'm still processing it, and I'm like a very slow processor, so that's kind of my reaction. And my mom and dad don't know what Harvard is, and my mom asked me where it was. She knows that it's like a big name, but she doesn't know where it is or like what they're known for. So that was also like very unique, because like her dream school for me was UC Berkeley or UCLA. I didn't get into either, and she was like really bummed out about Berkeley, but it's kind of like bittersweet about Harvard. Yeah. So like for me, like I'm still processing it. Like I guess like how are you guys currently feeling about it? Going to like such a prestigious university that, I don't know, like some people might have dreamed about since like freshman year.
It's been a few months for me, so I think I've had a bit more time to process. It's definitely pretty exciting. Also, things like the cost also like hits.
The cost.
Yeah. So
And
yeah, mixed feelings.
mixed feelings. Yeah. What about you, Raf?
So it's been, I want to say 4 days,
Yeah.
and has it been 4 days? Okay.
Yes.
And like I am super happy, right? Like I feel so, you know, like privileged and lucky to get to go to Princeton of all schools. And
they
especially
send a
because-
little like tiger plush, right?
I don't think I've gotten that yet. I haven't
It
gotten my
takes a while,
package. Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure there's like a little tiger plush that they give you.
that's exciting. So I'm excited to get that in the mail. But honestly, like, I'm so happy that I get to go to a place, right, and keep learning what I want to learn. Like Princeton's English department, like I know it's great. Great campus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, nothing else
and
really.
I'm happy for you too. Like it's a really big deal, and like I personally don't know anyone that's gone into Princeton here, so yeah. And then what about you, Isaac, with UCLA?
I was like 2 weeks ago. I was like happy, but like that was my number two choice. I wanted to get into Berkeley, so I was like waiting on that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got rejected. So I guess I don't know. Like I'm excited that I got into UCLA. I'm also like nervous. I don't really have like that strong feelings. I guess it's cool. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I would say like for me, I am still like processing. Like I said, I'm like slow with that, and I'm also feeling like a little overwhelmed, I guess, because it's just like in the last 4 days, I think Harvard has sent me like I want to say like 5 emails just like inviting me to like a bunch of stuff, and like part of me just feels like so privileged in the sense that like I can't believe like I get like the privilege to like experience this, and like I almost feel like I don't like deserve it because I know like so many other students really want to go to this school and I was not expecting to get in. And I guess like I am struggling with like a little bit of not a little bit, I'm lying, a lot, because I just like remember watching like the letter S girl who goes to Harvard, and also like I remember over the summer I was reading the news about this girl our age that won this like ISEF prize for developing like technology to basically help with suicide, and she's gonna be possibly my roommate, which is like very very crazy to me. And like all my teachers have been definitely like helping me I guess like grapple with this. So I don't know, like that's currently like how I'm feeling, and I'm like really happy for you too. And like we're gonna be going to like the East Coast together. Like how do you feel about basically moving across the country?
Oh, I mean, well, like Princeton's just such a beautiful place that I guess I haven't thought about the fact that it's like like 3 days of driving away from, or something like that. I don't know. I'm probably a lot less, but yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a huge shift, but I'm excited for it really. Like I almost haven't comprehended like I will be making that shift at some point. Like it's not just like a jump, right? Like there is a continuous shift going on here. So that's like super weird to me. And plus like I'm sure culturally it's very different, right? Like going from
There's no in and out.
exactly. No in and out. No, like,
Yeah.
are the burritos good?
At UCLA and Stanford, they'll be in and out.
Yeah, we're good.
I-
I think we made the right decision.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think like I want to say like the first couple of days was more like, whoa, I got in. And then like recently, which it's only been like what, like 4 days, I've been like, it's kind of bittersweet. Like I'm gonna be across the country from like my family, and it's like kind of crazy that like my mom didn't graduate high school, so it's crazy that in one generation we went from like not going to high school to going to Harvard. And also like thinking about, I guess, all the relationships I'm gonna have to sustain with like a 3 hour time zone difference, and that's something that is like bittersweet. Like I'm extremely grateful and privileged to get to go, but it's also like these are things that I never really considered, really. And what about you guys? Like, do you plan on like visiting home often, being like still in California?
I mean, yeah, I guess like as much as it's convenient. It's not like that far. It's the same state, so yeah.
I'll be like 2 hours away, so I think I could probably go home quite a bit.
Yeah. And Raph, we're gonna have to pack like so much. And it's cold there.
No, but it'll snow, and that's exciting, you know. Like you get snowy days in the winter, right? Around a medieval castle looking campus, you know. Like that's awesome. I'm excited for the cold weather. Like bring it on.
Do you guys have any like I guess like support system or friends that you can connect with there?
I mean, there's plenty of Franklin people at UCLA, like last year and this year. So
That's true.
it's like a pretty common, not like common, but like there's people who get in, quite a few every year, and it's in.
So yeah, I mean, of course, like Princeton is going to be a huge like adjustment. I don't know of anyone personally who intends on going to Princeton. So that's like a big thing, right? But like I'm sure like I'll find my own support network, right?
Mhm.
Like there's friends everywhere just waiting to be made. So that's
Mhm.
exciting.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I'm really grateful that Kulani, which if you know, you know, Kulani reached out as well as last year, the Florin High School valedictorian also reached out, and they've both been so helpful with like helping me adjust and like kind of, I guess, making me feel like it's okay to feel these type of things, and also just giving me like the realistic picture of like Harvard. And like not to out you if you're listening, but he has like time every day to just like rot in bed and scroll in TikTok, and like it's not like what you see of those like influencers that are like constantly like out and about and doing everything. And I think like that's really helping me. So yeah, and I guess like that's like one of the reflections I learned for underclassmen like listening. If you plan on going to these schools, that is something like I'm still learning, is that maybe like once I get into college, like I'm gonna realize like college is just like college, and maybe it's just like the perceptions of how other people outside of the college view me now that I got in, I guess. So yeah, like what are some like reflections or key takeaways you guys had from this entire journey?
I guess a key takeaway that I've gotten, right, is that number one, you change a lot in the span of only a couple months, right? Like my first application was Yale,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew very little about myself, relatively speaking, when I applied to Yale. And my essays reflect that, right? They're all very much like creative works, right? Not that they're like, obviously they're based in truth, but the goal was, okay, how can I write this as creatively and interestingly as possible?
Yeah.
Not how do I show myself? And in the 2 months between the Yale application, right, November 1st and January 1st, when Princeton was due, you know, like I learned so much. I went to Diamond Day, but yeah, like I took AP Lit, right? Read Hamlet, read so many books. I took Calc BC. All these things changed me between then, and just getting to realize like I changed as a person, and I went from that was the only rejection on my cycle so far, the Yale rejection. I got deferred and then rejected, to accepted into Princeton. Like that's super awesome to me, and I'm happy about that.
Mhm.
And I guess if I can like slide in a second here, is that okay for you guys? As a second reflection, I guess just realizing like most people on this campus, they have stories which are compelling enough, which not that I worded that wrong, okay? Everyone here on this campus matters, right? Everyone on here matters just as much as someone who gets into an Ivy League school.
Yeah.
And just because you might not have these big name accomplishments, right? Just because you're not on the news doesn't mean you don't matter. I would consider my extracurriculars, right, to be, of course, like I think they're good, relatively speaking, but I understand like if you're going to Harvard, there's a stereotype of, okay, like you're curing diseases and stuff, right? But no, like what
No,
I think
I rot in bed every day.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I do that.
But yeah, like what I think got me into Princeton was being able to write my story.
Mhm.
And I think everyone has a story, which, and I think they just have to take time to figure out what that story is.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that even if you don't figure it out up until like senior year, that's completely okay, because part of me I'm still discovering myself, because I'm, a normal human being. And I think that when it's time for college applications, you don't have to be like curating yourself and figure out like who you are by junior year. But it's completely okay to like not know exactly who you are. Like for me, like my entire Common App essay was about how as a human being, all I do is just progress, and I don't really have a definition for myself. And yeah, and then also just everyone's story does matter, like just like you said. And I think that how I got in is like completely different to how like you got in and how Ethan got in and how Isaac got in. So yeah, what about you guys?
I think I agree. Like one thing is like your college decisions don't determine like who you are or your future. I know so many people who are like really qualified, like I feel like should have been accepted to like good schools, but they got so many rejections. Like it was really surprising to me. And it's just like it's really hard to get into college. It's getting harder every year. So I think like your rejections don't determine who you are as a person. Everybody has their unique strengths, and you can't put that onto like a PDF that admissions officers are going to read and like make a judgment about you. That you can't make a judgment about somebody just from like one PDF.
Yeah, and I also just want to say that for the people out there who are feeling very dejected about their rejection, I know it can be very hard to hear rejection is redirection, especially if like nothing worked out in your favor. And I just want to say that like those feelings are so valid. Like no matter what, rejection hurts, and it's completely okay to feel defeated and even cry. And hot take, I think that if you feel jealous, like that's also very valid.
Okay, in my opinion, I think like this whole process, as Raf said, it was there was a lot to learn about myself, but also I think the whole process of college applications just it causes a lot of stress for a lot of people every year, and at the end, a lot of people end up feeling like, well, it didn't work out. And there's definitely chance involved, and there's definitely a lot of like who reads your essays and who reads your applications can be frustrating. Like no one can predict whether or not you're going to get into a college or you're not going to get into a college. I feel like for me, I was like at the end of like finishing my essays and submitting, I ended up just thinking, well, okay, I'm just gonna hope, I'm gonna pray that whatever happens, that the admissions officer is gonna like what they see about my essay. And I don't know, there's nothing else I can do. And I think that's like the conclusion that a lot of people have to come to at the end. Like there's only so much that you can do for your application, and the rest is out of our control, which is tough.
Yeah, and I also just want to say that like in my opinion, I thought about this, and I think that if I applied in a different round, who knows if I would have even gone in. Just because like, so for context, my stats they're good, but they're definitely not Ivy League good. I applied test optional for SAT. I I applied with 2 Bs, and both of them were in STEM classes. I submitted my 3 in AP Chem, and my rank is probably, I want to say, like 35. And I'm also in AP Calculus AB, which, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just that seeing that we already offer like Calc BC and like multivariable, in the grand scheme of things, like for a school like Harvard, it might not be like super impressive. And even if you copied exactly what I did, and even if I applied, I don't know if I would have gone in. So I think that right time, right place, like definitely plays a factor, as well as like luck. And personally for me, I had a really good interview. Maybe that might have done something, but I'm pretty sure that interviews don't really like push the needle with these kind of things. So I don't really know. I mean, none of us are really credible, but take like what you hear and do what you will with that. But I just want to say that for the people that think I'm like Rishabh Jain, nope. I literally had a B in Chem and Pre-Cal, and I still submitted my 3 in AP Chem, even though I studied for like a month, and I still ended up with a 3. So you really could, like, I don't know, suck at like math just like me, and still, you know, really have other amazing qualities and perspectives that, I guess, draw a reader in. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe once I read like my Harvard admissions review that they like give to you over the summer, I'll have more clarity. But as of now, like, I'm so scared that I'm gonna be like humbled. They're gonna be like, wow, this girl's like, this is like concerning. Yeah. Yeah. But that's like from my perspective, because I feel like recently something like adding to like my identity crisis is like people, I guess, thinking that my stats are really good, but they're definitely not. And I definitely lack in like the STEM category, and I didn't even submit an SAT. So, yeah.
I think the question a lot of people ask, like I was definitely thinking, well, did I just barely get in, or was I like above average? Was I below average? I don't really want to find out. Yeah.
And that's why I'm really scared for like the Harvard review thing, because like they're like one of the only schools that rank their students, and I'm like, are you serious? You're ranking me on like a number scale, which like Harvard, like, please don't revoke my admissions after I said this, but like I just think like that's really mean of you. Like I'm just a girl, like, please. But like it's like so scary that like they're gonna be like ranking like my grades, like my essays, like every little thing about it on a scale of like 1 to 6, and that's very scary. But maybe I'll find out, oh wow, like I was a really strong candidate, or maybe I'll find out I was like, wow, like I barely got in. So there's that.
I think Stanford does the same thing with like, but they even do like 1 plus and 1 minus to show like where on the scale you are. But you only get it if you only get to see it if you request your file, which I am not planning on doing because I don't want to find out.
Why is this like the AP Lit rubric? Like, do they give people like sophistication points?
Well,
Or,
I
like,
think 1's the best.
right. So a 1 plus,
Yeah.
that's like
1 minus.
And I was talking to Jason about it, and he said that on average, almost all like people that get into Harvard have like 2, 3s, maybe even 4s, maybe, and then 1 is super rare. I really hope I'm not like, it's like 6, 6, 6, and then 2, and then it's like 5, and I'm like, oh man, oh dear. But yeah, something else like I was like really worried about is like literally the day after I got in, I was supposed to do like my econ homework, and I didn't really understand it, and I had to ask like my friend, I'm like, this is who they just admitted. Like I like needed help on like a really easy like econ concept. And then I was like telling Jason about that. I'm so scared. Like, what if like I'm like failing? And he's like, you know, we have grade inflation, right? I was like, I don't even know what that is. And then I Googled it. And apparently, like, these top schools, like, they want you to like not worry about your grades like so much to the point where they like make sure like you have to get like at least like a B, and like an A is like hard, but like grade inflation I guess like kind of alleviates that like academic stress, which I thought was like very interesting. I don't know if like Princeton, UCLA, or like Stanford does it.
Princeton, I think, had a policy of deflation, which they recently canceled, but the aftershocks are still there. I think we're trailing, you know, Harvard and Yale in a average GPA, but that's okay. I'm scared.
I'm really scared too. Like, yeah, like I'm just like scared. Like, wow, like what if like school is like really hard? Which, no doubt about it, like it probably will, but I just don't want to be like failing. But yeah, are you guys gonna take like, what is it, Math 55?
I don't think we can. I don't think it's offered.
I might take a couple calculus classes because I really did like, you know, learning math at Franklin, but I feel like I'm going to be pretty humanities heavy for the most part. Like I've been looking into like the humanities sequence at Princeton, which the Google form to pre-register for that has already opened. And I don't know like who else from Princeton has found it, but like I've been like frantically like typing up my application for that. So
You should take multivariable calculus. It's really fun.
should I?
Yeah.
you
Okay,
should-
I
you
will.
should.
I'll be taking that as a sophomore at Harvard. I mean, I think, I'm not really sure yet, but I think it's just like like the classes that like everyone has to take first. So I'll most likely be taking like calculus 2 and then multivariable. I'm really hoping that like Harvard math is like easy. Why did I just say that? Obviously it's not. Like, I'm just like praying like, please, like I'm already like trying so hard in Calc AB, and like thinking about it, like it's really not that hard to differentiate, like, and now I'm gonna be like, you know, doing Harvard math. I'll let you guys know how it is as someone who doesn't like math. I'll let you know. And then I also heard like the English class, like the freshman one, is like relatively chill. Oh my gosh, I just realized that obviously I did not expect to get into Harvard, and I know that Harvard's one of the few schools that take no APs. So I signed up for 8 AP tests, and I can't cancel them.
You can't?
I'd
you
have to
sure?
pay a fee.
Well, I mean, you get some money back.
Right.
Yeah.
I canceled 7 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, the thing is like they're like, oh, you could fail, but I kind of want to be on the wall of 5s.
Yeah.
Sure.
On like
Mm.
econs and also Mrs. Formakers.
Yeah.
But I did not expect to get into that school, and now I'm stuck with my exams. Yay! And also, it's like the last week of exams is also our last week of school, so I will also be doing finals and prepping for grad.
Awesome. I wish you luck on that
Yeah.
on that journey.
Thank you for your condolences. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I guess my key takeaway is stats aren't everything. For those of you DMing me, my stats are not perfect. And I'm not saying go out there and get a 3 in AP Chem. Like, please don't do that. Like, if you can get a 5, like, please do. And if you can, like, end with a 4.0, like, that's amazing. Like, good for you. But personally, that was not my case. But I just want to preface and say, like, I did explain it in my additional comments, and I talked about like my background to like my interviewer, which I really think helped a lot, because without context, it does look kind of iffy. So yeah. Did you guys have any like context that you explained in your apps?
It's interesting because I got a B plus in pre-calc, but I almost took the opposite approach of figuring that I shouldn't explain like that one. Like I suppose like if it were like a more regular thing, I might want to, but just for like a B plus, I figured okay, if I explain this one, it might look a bit too perfectionist, right? And I didn't feel the need to, but like I can see why you might like want to, if you feel that there is like a sustained gap which you want to explain.
Any additional comments for you guys?
No, not really. I think I did like one little thing on the UC application because there were some weird things with skipping math classes and the requirements for geometry, but I think it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything bad.
I think for me, my additional comments just like focused on how I started out in all CP classes in middle school, and like if you are from, I think it's like this like everywhere, but I don't know. But specifically for like the Elk Grove area, the classes you take in middle school like feed into the placement of classes you're in high school, in the sense where like if you take accelerated math, you will be put in math too. And I said starting out in CP and kind of working my way up to like as many APs as possible, I said like that's not something like, I think that's like unique about me in the sense that like not a lot of students have that, I guess, trajectory of going from CP to, I guess, where I'm at now. And I said, I think that's what makes me different from like the other Harvard applicants. And I said that to my interviewer, and she like said that like I was pretty interesting. So I don't know, maybe I think that helped. And once I see like my admissions file, like I'll have better clarity. But yeah, if you like doing what you like to do and you love learning, then you know, apply to the schools you want to and see where you get in. And if you don't, then that's okay too. I didn't get into UC Berkeley or UCLA, and like I really like those schools. So yeah.
You've been talking about like interviews. I think one thing is, if you don't get an interview, don't panic because it has nothing to do with your application. I panicked kinda. I was like, nah, I'm not getting in. They didn't even offer me an interview. If they say that, like they even say on their website it has nothing to do with your application, but like yeah.
Yeah, I think for my interviews, I would say yeah, I did get one from Yale and Cornell, and then I got rejected. So I really don't think like getting an interview means anything. I think they genuinely just want to like communicate with as many students as possible. And I think my Harvard one was unique in the sense that I went over an hour, which like usually your interviews you have like an hour only, and for my Harvard one I went over the time. And also right before my interview, my Harvard interviewer got a black eye, so we like bonded over that in the sense that she like fell down and like hit herself like really hard. And keep in mind she's like 65, like she's an old lady, and that maybe like she hit her head like so hard that like she said something bonkers in like her report of me. But I don't think my interview moved anything. I mean, maybe it did, I really don't know, but they say that it doesn't. So yeah, how was your interview? Did you have one?
Yeah, I had 5 interviews, I think. Cornell, Princeton, Yale, or Cornell doesn't really do an interview, but they have like a meet and greet.
It's like a
So, yeah.
alumni like
Yeah.
chit chat, get to know about
Right.
Cornell.
So those 3 schools had all offered me an interview, and Yale was in person, which was super nice, and they all went like fairly well, I want to say. Harvard was interesting because I had gotten at first an alumni interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say around January or February, right? Early February.
Mm-hmm.
And then earlier last month, I had gotten an admissions officer interview, which it could have gone better, I think, from my like perspective. Like I think I might have fumbled a little bit.
With
Which
what
is-
school?
Harvard, which is nerve wracking
Was
because
it? Wait, so you didn't have Mrs. Jordan?
no,
Okay.
because it was the admissions officer interview,
Mm-hmm.
which like is super nerve wracking because the admissions officer is the one who determines your. So like the alumni interview, like sure, like you can mess up a bit. I was really nervous during the admissions officer interview,
like
and I
one of
think
your
it showed.
first?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, what did you say?
I said, was it like your first one?
Oh no, it was my second. I had
Oh.
2 for Harvard. Yeah.
Oh wow. My Yale one, he was just kind of like reading off of a paper, and like he wasn't really like connecting. And he was just like, I kind of write good ones for like all my people. I'm like, okay, so thank you very much. And then Harvard, I actually like moved it later because I was really sick, and then also like she like got a concussion, so there's that. And then Cornell, which like I found that Cornell's like was really just like, wow, like they do not ask you anything. Like, didn't they just like want you to ask them questions about Cornell and get to know Cornell? But it's
Yeah.
like I thought this was like an interview.
So I did have fun with that
Mhm.
conversation. Like he really talked a lot like about like Cornell's like traditions, like the 65 things you have to do before you graduate Cornell. It was fun.
Yeah. I
Well,
think like
What are they? Can you list them off?
I
yeah.
was gonna ask.
You have to like climb up some bell tower. I don't know. I'm not going to Cornell anymore. So yeah, I would have remembered.
Do you guys have any final reflections just for, people possibly DMing you?
Not really. I mean, like, you shouldn't take it like as the end of the world if you get rejected. There's still like you still have your whole life in front of you. So even if you get a few rejections, it's not gonna be the end of the world, even if that's where you wanted to go. And once again, like it doesn't determine your value as a person. You can't put your entire self onto like a little thing for admissions officers to read. So yeah.
Right. I mean, 100%. Like, you are so complex and so nuanced. And what an admissions file is it's one cross section of you at a very small period of time. It means nothing. Like, of course, like, yes, it feels nice to have a good cross section of yourself. But just because, even if you consistently don't get results that you would have hoped for, that does not mean that you matter less as a person. You mean so much more than whatever you put on that paper.
Yeah, and I also feel like everyone has like such a unique story, and when applying to colleges, it's really good if you just like maximize and write about your unique attributes that you either are like contributing now or you can contribute later. And it's okay if you don't exactly know who you are as a person. That was like my entire Common App, is how I don't exactly know who I am, but I know that like I am someone that just like continues to progress. So I mean, you could do that, I guess. Like, I don't know. But also like then again, like please don't go out and suddenly become the next RAF, senior class president, mathletes president. Like, there's no one formula into getting in. And who knows next year if like anyone will get into like the same schools we did. I know last year there wasn't any. So, yeah.
I think like a lot of people go in like, oh, let me see your stats and your extracurriculars and your essays, and if I could do exactly the same thing, it'll work out the same way. That's like, you have to look at like what works for you. I think it's just each person's different, as you said.
I mean, what would Harry Potter be if Ron Weasley was doing all his accomplishments? Like that wouldn't make any sense, right? So there you go. Sorry, that's the best literary thing I can think of that everyone knows.
That's good.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like Star Wars, right? No, that's not relatable.
You're on your way to answer FRQ3 with Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and also just like finding your strengths that you want to, I guess, portray. For me, like, I wouldn't even say like humanities is a strength. Like, I passed like AP Lang both quarters with like an A minus, and I'm quote unquote like going in for something humanities, and then STEM, like we already know, like that's so my STEM stats are very much average. So yeah, I don't know, it's all about just finding your strengths really, and being the unique person with your unique perspective that you want to show off to the people reading it, and obviously not taking rejection personally. I know for me, when I got rejected from UCLA, initially when I got rejected, I wasn't really sad because I kind of knew that it was like a space issue, and like I knew that like, okay, so there's over 1,000 people applying, 100,000 people applying, and they only offer like 14,000 people to get in, and that's like thousands of applications just kind of not even getting to the admissions office because there's just clearly not enough space. And you know, I think that's something to realize. And then once you realize that, rejection is better handled, I guess. But obviously, like I said before, it's completely okay to feel defeated, and it's your emotions are really valid. So once again, make the most out of your high school experience, and please don't hesitate to reach out to all of us. Let me know if I should do a college workshop soon, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you to Allison, Joseph, and Mrs. Toyama for making each episode happen. Check out our other episodes, and peace out, Wildcats.
Right. Peace out. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Don't forget us.